Before we start, it's always a good idea to see that what you will be working in this video. You can see that we have already displayed all the items that is covered in the last video. Now, if you click on any of these items, you can go to a detail screen where it will show you a segmented control. You can pick these things up, and also the about section, which shows you information about the vegetable, sowing part, growing part, and you can select any vegetable that you basically want, and you'll be getting the information regarding that particular vegetable. We also fixed a couple of different bugs. As you can see, the top part and navigation part, or the navigation bar, is going all the way up now. It's covering green color, looks really nice thanks to one of the viewers. And you can see all of this stuff is working great. And now in this particular video, I will also give you a little bit of a homework so you can suggest me that how to fix a couple of different things that we are having problems with. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. You have already seen that we will be building the vegetable detail screen. So let's go ahead and jump into the vegetable list screen and see what do we have over here. So in vegetable list screen, we do have all the vegetables being displayed. That is great. But currently, I can't really tap on any vegetable to go to the detail screen. So let's go ahead and work on that part. In order to go to the detail screen, we must create a view. So I'm going to go ahead and create a brand new screen, and we will call it Vegetable Detail Screen. I'm going to select a SwiftUI view. Vegetable detail screen is fine. Perfect. And vegetable detail screen is the one that is responsible for displaying all the different vegetables. Vegetable detail screen will need a vegetable view model that contains all the information regarding a particular vegetable. So this means that we need to pass that through. Let vegetable view model. So this is what we will be passing from the vegetable list screen. All right. Now, on the vegetable detail screen, as you have already seen, we have three different options. We have about, companions, and problems. So we need to show those three options in a segmented control. Another thing that you will see over here is that now, since the vegetable detail screen requires that we must pass in vegetable view model, the previews is now complaining. So let's go ahead and see how we can fix that. We need to pass in a vegetable view model. If we go back to the vegetable view model, you can see that we can construct a new vegetable view model. That is perfectly fine. So we need to pass in something. Let's go ahead and try to pass in something. So I'm going to go to a vegetable detail screen and try to fix this part. There are many ways to fix it, but we want to make it easy so that we can use a vegetable view model, some sort of a default view model in other places also. So I'm going to jump into the vegetable view model, and I'm going to go ahead and write an extension for vegetable view model. In that particular extension, I'm going to create a static function, and I will call it default. There we go. And this is going to be a function, and we are going to go ahead and return vegetable view model. If I don't use this, if I use like this, then default is a keyword in Swift language, so I can't really use it like that. So I have to use the tildes and surround that with surround the word with the tildes. Okay. Now inside over here, we can go ahead and construct a vegetable view model. Now the vegetable view model requires a vegetable, so I need to go ahead and create a vegetable. You can see a vegetable takes in a lot of different things. Right now, you can see that it's taking in the vegetable ID, it's taking in the name, description, thumbnail, and all that stuff. But if I want to display other stuff like the growing conditions and the vegetable description, the seed depth, all of those things have to be present in the model. And you can see that right now, we don't have those things in the model itself. So that is something we need to update. So there are many different things we need to add. We need to add the seed depth. We need to add the growing soil temperature, sowing description, and growing description. And a lot more stuff is actually being sent from the web service, but we are only using a couple of different things. Same thing over here. We need to make sure that all the things are mapped correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and provide that also. Great. All right. So now we have created vegetable, and it will have all of these growing soil temperature and other stuff. So now let's go ahead and take a look at our vegetable over here, and you can see that we can pass in all of those different things to make it work. We can go ahead and say ID number 1. Whatever the name of the vegetable is, this is completely up to you. So you can just write whatever name, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go ahead and say avocado. Description, again, you can simply copy the description from somewhere, but I can go ahead and add some description over here. So I'm just going to copy paste it from somewhere. That somewhere is actually the return result from the API. There we go. So we have that part. And what else we have? We have thumbnail image. We'll check out the thumbnail image a little bit later. But let's go ahead and put out certain different things. Seed temperature and all this. If this is getting slow for you, which is I understand, you can definitely skip this part because I do have to fill out all of these different things. Growing soil temperature also. So let's go ahead and then the sowing description. So let's go ahead and put sowing description. There we go. And then the growing description. This is all so that we can see some sort of a preview in our application. The only thing remaining is the thumbnail image, and that is obviously very important. So I'm going to go ahead and try to find the thumbnail image and stick it in the thumbnail image. So let's update the thumbnail image. There we go. So this will be an avocado. Now we are supposed to return a vegetable view model, not a model. So now I can go ahead and say return vegetable view model, pass in the model, and there we go. You can also add a JSON file and maybe read it from there if you want to. That's perfectly fine. But right now we're just taking this approach. Now in the vegetable details screen, we can simply say vegetable view model.default, and it is going to return us the avocado. Every time we try to display something, it will always be avocado for our Xcode preview. Okay, so time to go back to our screen. And a couple of different things we need to display. We need to display a picker, which will have 3 different options. So we will have about us, companions right here, and then problems. So we need to make this particular options as a segmented control. So let's go ahead and do that. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create options, and we can just copy it from somewhere. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Case iterable, which basically means that I can iterate on it. That's perfectly fine. I want not about with a small letter, so I do want to have a certain title for my options that will be displayed in the segmented control. So I am providing an extension, and in the extension I'm creating a property called title, which is going to return the capital casing of about, companions, and problems. So I can use that. All right, next up, we will go ahead and create a scroll view, because sometimes the contents can be too much, so that's why we need scroll view. I'm also going to put a VStack and perform the alignment to the left side. So let's go ahead and just add the alignment. So to be leading. Great. Now we can go ahead and create our picker control. And this will be a segmented control. Let's go ahead and type this out. So picker, and we are going to use select as a title. Selection. Now, where does the selection go? Well, we will create a state variable where the selection will go. It can be about us, companions, or problems. So there we go. Now I can go ahead and pass in selection, which is a bindable expression, which means that anytime you are going to go ahead and select something, the selection will get updated. This variable is going to get updated. And finally, we have the actual content. So let's go ahead and use a trailing closure to type the content. And just to show you, if I simply go over here and say about us, and let me go ahead and remove that part. If I go ahead and run it, you can see that it says about us, but that's more of a different kind of a control, like a picker view. What we want is a segmented control. So I'm going to go ahead and change the style to the picker style to be using segmented. And there we go. Now it's changed to segmented, but it's only showing us one option. We already have the options because the options are depending on the cases inside enum, which is about, companions, and problems. So we can simply iterate through them. So I can go ahead and say for each loop, and I'm going to go ahead and say vegetable info options dot all cases. So I can iterate now, and ID will be, in this case, self is fine. We will get an info in, and now we can go ahead and display info.title. This is our custom property, and the tag is info. So this means that whenever you select a particular option, about us or companion or problem, this is going to update that enum over here in the selection. All right, so it's pretty cool. Okay, now let's go ahead and go down a little bit over here. There we go. Now, depending on if the user is selecting about us or companions and problems, we have to display a different kind of a view. So if you select about us, we will show about us. If you say companions, then we will show companions. You can do this in multiple different ways, but what we are going to do is we are going to use a switch, and we can go ahead and switch on the selection. And you can see it's already kind of filled out for us. That's good. And this is the view that will show us about us. And for companions, it's going to show a different view, which will be companions, and a different view that will be problems. So I'm just going to write companions. We don't have view for companions or problems for now. We will, but not right now. We don't have it. Let's go ahead and run this. So if I go to companions, you can see the view is now changing to companions, about us, companions, problems. So it looks like it's working fine. We do have to make a view for about us because that is what we are working on. I'm going to go ahead and open and create a new folder called views. And in the views, I'm going to create a new view that is going to represent about us. So I'm going to say about us. Perfect. So what is about us view going to do? Well, about us view is going to display information regarding the vegetable. So for this to happen, we will pass in a vegetable, which is vegetable view model. So you can see that we are able to reuse our vegetable view model in several different places. And now we need to pass in over here also. So all the work that we have done with creating a default comes into play, and now we can easily pass in the default, which is avocado, so that we can have some sort of a display in our about us pages. So now let's go ahead and get started with about us. I'm going to go ahead and create VStack. We want to go from top to bottom. The first thing we are going to do is trying to see if we can display the description. So I'm going to go ahead and say vegetable that you pass in and the description. You can see that other things are not even coming out right now, because our vegetable view model does not contain sowing description, growing description, seed depth, all of those different places. We will definitely have to make sure that they are coming together. We do want our description, all of it. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we're getting all the description. Next, we will create sowing description. Now, in order for the sowing description, if you go back to your view model, the view model itself doesn't really have any properties for the sowing description, but it's not a big deal because we can go ahead and add those things out. So this means that we can have another property over here, which is seed depth, and this is going to return a vegetable.seed depth. So you can see that we can do all of these different things, and I can just copy these things out to save a little bit of time. We don't really need unwrapping part now, so I'm just going to delete it. That's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and make sure that they are nicely formatted. There we go. So now we have all of those different things that we need, hopefully, and we can go ahead and display those things. So let's go back to the vegetable detail screen, or actually about us, and we can continue our work with the about view. The next thing we need to display is the actual sowing headline, or the sowing information. So let's go ahead and add a text for sowing information. And keep refreshing your view so that you know that what you're actually doing. So here we go. We have just a headline for the sowing. Next up, we will go ahead and so now we need to create sowing headline, but the sowing headline is going to work like this. It's going to have a left-hand side, and it's going to have a right-hand side. All right. So instead of writing the code over here and doing it again and again, would it be a good idea to create a separate view that can contain two different columns? So I'm going to go ahead and create a new view, and you'll see that how it will benefit us. All right. Let's go ahead and create this view. I'm just going to name this very generic name, which is two-column view. Two-column view. And all that two-column view does is that it allows us to have two columns, left and right, and both of them will take in a string value. So there we go. You will pass in the left, you will pass in the right, and you're done. All right. So if you were not using that, then you would have done something like this, but I think two-column view can be reusable, so it will help us in the long term. Now with that, we can go back and we can start using our two-column view. So let's go ahead and start using our new custom view. So we're using it a couple of different times to display the sowing depth as well as the germination soil temperature. And this is how it works, but we will go to our view stack at the top, and we will also make sure that the alignment is set to leading. So everything is kind of like left align. That is perfect. And you know what? We need a little bit of spacing also. So let's go 20. Okay, that's good. And the V stack, I'm going to go ahead and add a bit of padding also. There we go. All right. And at the bottom, I can go ahead and add a spacer just to push everything up. Perfect. We're still not done. I mean, we still need to display the description. So again, for the description, I'm going to go ahead and create another view for description. All right. So I'm going to add another view. I will call it description view. This is to display the description. Now, what is so special about description? Well, a description has the heading, and it can have a content. So heading and content. All right. And we can actually use that in many different places. So let's go back to our about view. Here it is, about us. And let's go ahead and start using the description view. I'm going to use a description view with sowing as the heading. Let's go ahead and resume it. You can see that I'm also adding a little bit more color to it, so a little bit of a light gray row color that we are using. And I can reuse the description view again, but this time for showing the growing description. Perfect. So we were able to use that easily multiple places, right? Okay, now you can also add the clip shape stuff as a default if you want to. That is fine inside the description view. I'm just adding it that you have to add it yourself, but you can add that inside if you want to. So this is what it looks like right now. This is great, actually. Now let's go ahead and make sure that from our vegetable list screen, which is showing all the vegetable, we are able to go to the detail screen. Because if we're not able to go, then what's the point? All right. So we're running a loop over here. We have a vegetable cell. I'm going to go ahead and use a navigation link with a destination. Let's find that destination and a label. So in this case, our destination is vegetable detail screen. We need to pass in a vegetable. We are in a loop and we have access to the vegetable we can pass in. And for the actual label, that meaning what will get displayed on the screen as a link or as a tappable portion, that will be the actual vegetable cell. There we go. Perfect. Let's go ahead and run this and see if it works. Okay, great. And you can already see the detail closure, showing up. Now, another thing that we are looking at right now is probably all of these are faded out because we are not in the Xcode preview. We're not inside a navigation view. But since we already created the embedded navigation, probably I can add that. There we go. I don't really have the title, so let's go ahead and add title also. I don't want to go like completely crazy over here, so I'm just going to go ahead and say green garden. Green garden. There we go. And now it's looking good. Let's go ahead and click on caret. Okay, so right now it's showing about us, so we need to change that also. Let's go back to the vegetable detail screen. And we already have created a control or a view called about us, which we can pass in the vegetable, which is also of type vegetable view model. All right, let's do it again. Caret, and it looks like all the information of caret. Now, companions and problems, we will figure it out later, but we have this information. That's good. Okay, this is looks like pepper, and everything looks so nice. Now, another thing that I really want to do is to put the name over here. I mean, if this is tomato, the name tomato should go over here so that I know that I'm looking at tomato. Let's go to the vegetable detail screen. And in the vegetable detail screen, we should be able to add that using the navigation. Let's see if it actually comes up. Sometimes it doesn't really come up. As you can see, nothing is going on over here. Let's go ahead and make sure that this is inside the embedded navigation view, just for the preview purposes. Dot navigation. I think this is something that I was having issue with. That you can see navigation bar, title, and sometimes it doesn't really even come up. Let's say if I say tomato, you can see that it's just failing at this point. All right. Let's see if I'm in scroll view. Okay, let's try it over here. Maybe I was trying it at the wrong place. There we go. All right. So the title will be in the vegetable that you're passed in dot name property. And last time I ran this, it actually didn't work for some weird reason. Let's go ahead and try to do it and see if it works. If it doesn't work, then guess what? Well, you have to figure it out, and you have to tell me that why it's not working. Okay, so we got this. And okay, so it's working. I'm not sure why it's scrolling. You see that? So it should be like this when we scroll, and radish also. You see that? It will be nice if it's kind of like this. So let's go ahead and see if we can fix that part. All right, so strangely enough, if you actually run it on a simulator, it doesn't even work. So if I run it on the simulator and if I go to hot pepper, you can see it just leaves this part blank. Now, maybe it has something to do with that everything is inside a tab view. That can be the case. The tab views are also gone. So that is also something that we need to look at. We don't really want the tab views to be going away. That is our primary means of navigation. So we need to also check why the tab views are going away. All right, so if you find solution to these problems, why the tab bar is going away in a different view, and also, so a couple of different problems. Let's go ahead and see. So this is all fine. Let's go ahead and click hot pepper. You can see it's missing. Why is it missing? I mean, scroll view is working fine, but why is the title, the name of the vegetable that we just selected is missing? So that's something to look at. And the other thing to look at is if everything is inside a tab view, when we go to these details, why is the tab bar being hidden? So that is another thing to look at. And this is a two-way street, right? I mean, I'm trying to share my knowledge with you, and I want you to share your knowledge and expertise with me so I can also improve. So this is basically we're just sharing knowledge. And this is great because one of the problems, if I run it again, you will see, one of the problems you will see is that I mentioned last time is I want this navigation bar to be colored all the way. So it should cover all of this stuff should be green. And I couldn't really figure out why it is doing that, but one of the viewers was kind enough to point and say that, okay, they figured it out. And let me actually make sure that I credit that user. And let's see over here. Here we go, if you can read it. It's kind of big. Salmanistan. And he basically told me that there is something to do with the scroll appearance or scroll edges. So let's go ahead and get that fixed, all right? So I'm going to jump into Green Garden stuff right here, Green Garden app. And I'm going to go ahead and create a header appearance. All right. And this will be of type UI navigation bar appearance. That's perfectly fine. Now we can use this pretty much everywhere. So let's go ahead and use that to be, and make sure that you called it. There we go. So we're going to use that everywhere. There we go. Appearance, wherever we're using the navigation bar appearance, we can just substitute it. And then to make sure that the navigation bar is all the way on the top, we are going to change something over here. Okay, let me go ahead and first change that. That should be okay. This will be UI navigation bar dot appearance, and then we have a dot scroll edge appearance, and we will set it to our appearance. Kind of like a weird way of doing things, but let's go ahead and run this. And now it's full, which is great. It looks really nice. It's covered the whole screen. The problem still exists for these things. I mean, that didn't resolve other issues that we have. But so download the code and check, first of all, why is this missing? Second of all, what happened to our tab views? All right. So there are a couple of things we need to look at. So after this, our next step is to see that how we can incorporate core data. And we're going to learn more about core data, how to incorporate core data later on when we are checking that maybe we need offline storage. Maybe we need to store something in core data using SQLite so we can add our own vegetables or use my garden features. So all of those different options we're going to check out in the next lecture. Thank you so much. All right, so now let's go ahead and see that how we can fix the problem that we were having with the tab views not appearing. So one of the things that you will notice over here is that I am using or embedding the complete tab view inside the navigation view. So we're not going to do that anymore. and we are going to embed individual tab items inside the navigation view. So we have first item, which is the vegetable list screen. All right, so this particular thing has a tab item, and I can go ahead and I can say embed in navigation view. Great. And we're going to do the same exact thing for the next item, which in this case is a text second page. And I'm going to go ahead and say embed in navigation view. Great. Okay, so that should be okay. The other thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that the toolbar is attached to the first item, which is the vegetable list screen. So after we have created the vegetable list screen, I am going to move a little bit things around. I'm going to put the toolbar so you can see the title now appearing over there. Let's see what happens if I try to run this. Okay, so now the main title is not showing up, as you can see. So let's go back now and try to fix that part. Also, you will note the bottom, the actual tab items are not appearing. All right, so we need to fix that part also. So I think we just need to make sure that they are in the correct order. So let's do that. That's our first one. And embed in navigation view, we will just put it after the toolbar just to make sure. There we go. And for the vegetable list screen, because I think that's the main screen, we will go back to the vegetable list screen. And you can already see that in the vegetable list screen, we never really said anything about the navigation title. So let's go ahead and add the navigation title. And we will say, whatever, green garden. There we go. Perfect. Let's go back to the main screen. Okay, so it's appearing green garden now. And try to run it. Now everything works perfectly fine as we want it to appear. All right. So we have fixed that problem that we were facing. Now everything is looking fine, looking good. And we can go and click on any one of these things and it works perfectly fine. And you can see on the bottom, you also have the tab bars on the detail screen, which we wanted. So there we go. We have actually fixed the issue. Hey, if you like this video and want to support my channel, then the best way would be to become a patron. You can simply go to patreon.com/AzamSharp. You will see two different plans. They both supply you the same exact thing, the silver tier and the gold tier. This is just to show that support for my work. And you can obviously guess that these videos take enormous amount of time, sometimes even weeks to create one single video, and then the editing phase begins. So any kind of donation that you want to give is highly appreciated. Also, check out my courses on Udemy. I have a lot of different courses with more than 56,000 students. I have a SwiftUI course that goes into great detail, 25 hours actually, a course which goes into MVVM design pattern, everything you need to know about SwiftUI, and it also covers the SwiftUI for iOS 15. I have an MVVM course also. Core data course is actually really good also. GraphQL, if you want to learn GraphQL with iOS. If you want to learn SwiftUI with Firebase, that's the highest rated course. So all of these courses and links you can get in the YouTube description. Thank you so much for your continuous support and keep watching. Thank you so much. Subscribe it and like it.